Welcome to Big Board. So we're playing CV, and I think this is the first video I've done where I've kind of had a chat with you. I've popped up a few other little bits and pieces, but and posted a few polls to ascertain where we were going to place the various forces and how many Catalinas to get started with, to search with. And so what I thought I would do is try and give a succinct, if it's possible for me to do that, a succinct overview of what you're going to need to keep in mind when, as a play-by-poll player, you're voting on, or if you're one of the people that will be running a task force, what do you need to be considering when you eventually do find the Imperial Japanese Navy? And the first thing to know is that your Air Force on the carriers is made up of typically of Devastators and Dauntlesses, and those two aircraft typically will combine in one form or another and go out on a strike, and they're torpedo attack aircraft and dive bomber attack aircraft. And they have, unfortunately for you, they have two different speeds of flight, i.e. how many movement factors they can move per turn, and they also have different endurance capabilities. And so what you're going to need to keep in mind, and what we'll probably do to keep it simple for me as well, is that when we start looking at launching from aircraft carriers, we're going to assume that we would like to have a round trip that is equal to the lowest range or endurance factor of the two aircraft, and that would be, the Devastator, which has an endurance of 5. So that means it can be up in the air for 5 turns, and then it needs to land. And what we could then do, because the Devastator has a movement rate of 6, so if it took off from here, it could travel for, in essence, 2.5 turns, right? And we have to do the combat, which we'll have to factor in as well, and we'll talk about that at some other time. But basically, if you find a enemy ship and you're intent upon attacking it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did I say 6? Yep, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 2 turns would give you, a 12 hex range from your aircraft carrier to have combat with. And if push came to shove, you needed to just use Devastators, you have 9 hexes, so and an extra turn actually, because they have 6 if you fly them by themselves, which is entirely possible. They have 6 turns of range, so 3 out and 3 back. So 3 times 9, or 2.5 times 6 is going to give you your basic range for you to reach out and attack the Japanese. Now, Midway is different. It's not moving all the time, and that's one of the things you're going to need to keep in mind with this, is that whilst you're flying out, no doubt you may want to be moving towards your aircraft so that you buy them a little bit more time and hopefully a little bit more range. Or you may feel that you are also under threat, and so you may be flying away from your aircraft, which you would then need to factor that into the equation. And so what we'll do when we play this game, because we're doing it all by play-by-poll, is that I'll be putting polls up with choices, and those choices will be somewhat of a matrix. And it'll be, hey, you're going to do a combined launch or separate launches, so Devastators and Dauntlesses in 2 separate groups, and then are you going to steam towards or away from your enemy? And we'll assume that when we say steam away, we're not reversing direction, that we'll perhaps be going either north or south, and then I'll roll a die for which direction or something like that. Or if someone would like to make a suggestion, then you can do that. In fact, in any factor or aspect of the game, you feel free to dive in there and join the conversation and make suggestions. We can absolutely do that if you would like to see something very specific happen. Obviously, Midway is your stationary aircraft carrier, and you'll have your search occurring from there primarily, and you'll also have your obviously you'll be able to launch attacks from there, but there's obviously no steaming away with that guy. The other task force is just down there. And what I'm going to be asking next is, where do you want those 2 aircraft carrier groups to start steaming? And also note that here, you guys can come up this way and get in those clouds, which every hour those clouds, sorry for the focus change, every hour the clouds are going to move potentially in one direction or another. And but it's always nice to be in cloud cover. If you're a ship, you get some better protection from being spotted. But in order to do that with these, you're going to need to be closer to where the enemy's coming from. And obviously the other guys all the way down south here, I think some of you who voted have some sort of plan. I'm going to move the camera again. Some sort of plan for these guys. Let's move this out of the way. I'm trying to cover up that reflection spot so it's not so annoying for you guys. Now, so these guys, the Task Force 2, I'm assuming that you will want to either stay stationary, so you'll stay in place, steam this way, or steam this way. And I will be looking for feedback from you guys, from everybody, to put that into effect. And so what I will try and do is keep it simple and say, okay, steam to the international date line, or steam to the O in ocean, for instance, or stay stationary. That'll be the 2 choices you have, 3 choices you have there. And then up here, focus again, we'll be moving into the clouds, stay stationary, or I'll maybe put 4 options up. You may want to come this way, or you may wish to be more specific about how far north you want to be, or whether you want to be further west. So you'll have those choices, and I'll just pop this up as a video, and you can have a look at this, and I'll try and take some stills as well, and then you can let me know what you want to do with the current, with the next series of turns. This obviously moving at 2 hexes a turn. This is that's probably 10 or 15 hexes. That's 5 or 10 turns, which will bring us into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That'll also make it about sometime between 10 and 11 o'clock on the 3rd of June. And by then the Imperial Japanese Navy will be on the board at some distance, more than likely taking advantage of that cloud cover perhaps, or sneaking in down here or anywhere along here. So I'm not making it easy for you. If you're a veteran of CV, you'll know that typically you're only allowed, even with the free setup, only allowed to enter on this small section here or this section here. And if you do some hex counting, you can pretty much work out where the potential places are for the Japanese to arrive. At turn X, 20, 30 turns in, they can only be within a certain range. So we've loosened that up now and make it harder for you. There's another 30 hexes basically where they can come in on, and a few extra down here, and the same amount up there. So it should keep it fun and make it a bit of a challenge for everybody, and we'll see how everything goes. The Japanese movement has already been pre-plotted and will not change until such time as they are spotted by the Americans. So I will not be reacting to anything that you do as the Allies until such time, the US Navy, until such time that you actually spot me, and then all bets are off, and we'll go hammer and tong from there. All right. Well, I look forward to talking to all you guys real soon, and